What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Red and Dreaad Podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing the mind rot that is modern manga.
And why overconsumption leads to mind rot,
Why do you
right?
think? Why do you think people? Why do you think it's consumed? Consumed at such a rate that it leads to that. That it leads to the mind rot. Why is there
Okay,
such a need to consume it at that rate?
I think it is easily obtainable, right? Even in a non piracy way of people, scanning it online or something like that. You have websites that are free posting, another chapter every week in a category that has 100 new chapters a week. Let's say like fantasy action or um you know school life love stories. Those two are
Right.
heavily populated, and hundreds of new stories from varying artists, varying writers every week. So if you're trying to compete with such a large segment so constantly, you have to write in a way that is either a little more explicit or a little more aggressive in how a story is told. This is
Okay, I see
it's
that.
right. So you don't have the luxury of a slow, um, like meandering growth that you get with like a dedicated reading base of, maybe people that buy whole books of like American comics. But like that comes with a whole different like failure point. Literally not enough people see like even the buying point of American comics. You ask people, is like, oh, where would you get, the like one of the easiest, biggest comic crossover between like comic lovers and like readers is like something like Saga. Well, it's like, okay, well, where would you buy that? It's like, well, Barnes and Noble, but that's it. You know, you don't necessarily like have tons of options
Right.
in the same way as like, oh, I literally could find 50 websites to read something similar on.
Right.
But so when you consume these extremely palatable stories at such a high frequency, maybe you really do have a favorite genre, right? Or maybe you're examining a genre to try to write one yourself, right? Let's say you consume 20 new pieces of story from 20 different artists in a week. Well,
It's a lot of
that
consumption.
that's a lot of consumption, right?
That's
And part of a lot of consumption is it needs to be palatable. So this palatability is what leads to mind rot. Similar to what leads to um like the death of a like a food palette, you
Okay.
know? Like if you eat chicken nuggets,
Overwhelm.
no, kind of like a dole down over time with like not necessarily the best thing that you like. Let's say your palate is able to, discern how long coffee was brewed for, and um possibly that like two different beans are, well, if you only have a Starbucks style coffee over like 10, 20 years, well, it's going to dull that palate down, right? So if you only read these highly palatable pieces of literature,
Mhm.
it's going to rot how you look at a story
Over time. Okay.
over time.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
like
what happened to like sitting with the story? Like you finish a chapter and you just kind of like kick back and you stare at the ceiling and you just kind of like
I th-
reflect on what you just read or saw, you know what I mean? Like what happened to just kind of sitting with the story?
I think we can expand really on this one. There is a binge style of consumption, and when it's available, people are more attracted to it, right? That's one of the reasons that American comics are failing. They're not bingeable because they're not available. So like we don't even have to think about them with this. But like we look at Netflix, right? Okay, 3 episodes. And you binge 3 episodes, and then the next week it's going to be 2 episodes, and you binge those 2 episodes. And they're trying to not have people binge 8 episodes in a day because they want retention, right? But when people are putting out all of this content, you can just binge it. So these manga, these manhwa, these Chinese comics are coming out at such a rate, you can just binge, 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 and then switch over, binge, binge, binge. And it becomes so, you realize that there are so many formulas of, I mean, there is only so many formulas that can be used,
Right.
you, So if you're trying to aim for like a 13-year-old boy, okay, the main character is usually going to have to be bullied and is going to have a non-female best friend that is also non-human. Like that uh but like this is like an archetype that is, greater than just manga. This is also like a never-ending story.
Okay, right,
Um,
right.
this is Star Wars, right? Like,
So common like in storytelling.
right. There's these archetypes, but instead of building around these archetypes, the mind rot is having the archetypes be the story.
Okay, okay.
So it'd be like what's an archetype for Spider-Man, right? He is a heartbroken savior of the city that every time he is truly getting to a high place of positivity, there's a heartbreaking event. For he's like truly like a crushed hero every time, right? But
Yeah.
imagine if the story was focusing instead of on the entire cycle, it was focusing on these jutting moments that are, you know, here he is working hard. Here he is working hard. Here he is, falling in love again. Instead of the flow of growth through those things. Those aren't landmarks of the story. Those are how it flows. And when you
Okay, yeah.
mind rot something out, you have to lose flow. You have to lose the shape, the true shape of a story. And
Because you're moving so fast.
right, because you're moving so fast. It's like this flashing screen, right? So this could be flashing at a much higher rate and it wouldn't look like it was flashing, right?
Right.
But that takes a lot more work. So you have it flash, and in the spaces where it's black, where there isn't words, that's where you're losing story. There could be so many more scenes here, but every time you lose those words, that's mind rot taking place. Say we speed this up, right? It's going, that's so many more moments that there could be a story. But, it costs a lot of money, but that's 4K video, right? That's all these frames that you really get to enjoy.
So are they really consuming the story? Like, are they digesting it? If like,
Well, okay, yeah, that's a great question, right? So, and let's look at like a different platform for a second. Do you see young kids truly digesting what they watch on TikTok or Instagram? Like, is there, please?
no, I think I do. It's funny. I was thinking of the same example because I think TikTok kind of changed how storytelling works now, especially because I'm hearing, if I'm not mistaken, they're gonna start doing like TikTok like filmmaking,
Oh,
or
I
something like that. I've heard. Yeah, like they're gonna start making these little TikTok productions, but they're like mini. So now it's like, can it become an edit? Can this panel become a trend? Can it go viral in like the short amount of time of a TikTok video, you know?
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. And I think there's a lot of chance for like positive creation there, and
Oh
not
yeah, for sure.
how many people do you think could grasp the enormity of a story like let's say the Civil War arc, right, of Marvel Comics. My favorite arc, you really get to experience what a villain uh Iron Man is. Uh Fuck
That's
him.
true.
That's all I have to say about
Yeah, I did disagree with, yeah,
yeah.
facts.
But like we we look at the enormity of that story, right? And could you what's the rate of people being able to understand the enormity of that story in a minute, you know?
I think it's 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 lessened because there's no like because that took to get they couldn't. I feel like they really couldn't in the somatic universe they couldn't just drop Civil War. There had to be like this emotional build up to that point. You know what I mean? Like we had all these solo movies. We had
Yeah.
like
And they
Iron
did.
Man hadn't done anything like that up to that point. Even in the first one, he's against like the government telling him what to do or involvement, if you remember, because they want the
Yeah.
suit. As soon as he admits that he's Iron Man, they're like, "Oh, well, give us the suit. We need to be able to like." And he's
Yeah.
like, "Nah, this is my shit." Like versus in
Yeah.
Civil War, he's more for those accords and like letting the government like dispatch them when like needed.
And helping them. But okay.
Which is the problem. Which is the problem in the first place. I'm like, the government already running shit, and look what's happening. So the fact that you're needed,
Yeah. But okay.
but
So
like you lose that nuance, you lose that
yeah.
emotional buildup, you lose those things to by like consolidating it or compacting it into a minute. And you
Yeah.
can't. There's
Definitely.
no character development, and all that is kind of out the window. I mean, you could be like, yeah, that's Iron Man because of the suit, but like, who is Iron
Right.
Man? Like in
Right.
this situation, like who is he? Like we knew who he was, like at up to that point. If you followed the movies, I'm saying.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. I think there's I think that's the issue that comes up in the modern manga. You have to pressure readers to go so quick. I mean, there's so much pressure for writers to progress the story quickly that the extensive character development is kind of a background element that is an option if a character is attractive enough to the fan base. So like it's so we're putting like the flow of the story as a possibility if enough people like the character. And it's like, okay, but I would rather a flowing story. Like,
Right.
are you not dedicated to this character? Like, are you truly ready to throw this character away at a moment's notice because like your fan base doesn't think they're hot enough?
So it's more about like aura than it is like character development
Yeah,
or
yeah,
philosophy, arc,
definitely.
no emotional depth. You're just like, okay, so best character ever written. It's like, no, that's not.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, imagine if you knew nothing about Batman's backstory until like you say, okay, you know what? I really like that he's all about bats. You know,
But would
I
most
it,
people like that randomly? You'd be like, no, what the fuck is up with the bat
exactly,
shit? Like,
exactly. So it's like it's but like that's the style of mind rot manga is okay, I need this character. Okay, they're gonna have like lightning bolt eyebrows. Okay, so like that's gonna appeal to this certain demo that thinks lightning bolt eyebrows are cool. And hopefully that demo's big enough that they'll continue to read this comic.
it gains traction. Okay.
And then like maybe in chapter 5 I can talk about like this cool idea that I haven't had yet about why he has lightning eyebrows. Instead of this building a character that is so well built it's loved, they're building a character that has the possibility to be filled with enough development that it will still be seen as positive. You know,
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's shortcut writing, which, like, and there's ways to cheat it, right? Like, like Batman, like Bruce Wayne is technically a cheat code, right?
Facts.
There is something that we like about someone that is has suffered but has been put in a position of safety and positivity from their suffering, i.e., like the wealth he gained from his parents' death,
Mhm.
and them trying to do good from that. Like that's a cheat code. Tony Stark, same cheat code. You know,
Using those resources and money and whatever influence
for
they have to,
for
like,
good.
sway
Yes,
things, obviously, you know?
yes, yeah. Reed Richards, same thing. That's why Doom is such a good villain, because it's like, oh, he is trying to do good, but he's
Yeah, he feels he's right in what he's trying to do.
and you know
It's not
what?
necessarily evil, it's like, "This is what I need to do." Almost even
Exactly.
like Thanos, like, I didn't hate Thanos, I feel like, as a villain.
No, because like you can't, because he has
Obviously, you're
so
like,
much
"He's gotta be
development.
stopped," but I wasn't like, "I fucking hate this guy," like, I was like, I could see why he feels like that, like, you could almost be like, "I get where he's coming from, I don't agree maybe, but, like,
Yeah, but
I
like
get it."
fuck Galactus.
Yeah, like, facts. Okay, see, Galactus is like
Exactly. It- because
because
like
he's ill intent, he's more ill intent than,
e-
like, conviction of what you know what I mean?
exactly, but he's only ill intent because he was written in a mind slop way. Like they're just like, we need a
To
big
consume.
bad. Yeah,
And
you
he
know?
just consumes his character even, that's all he does is, like, consume
Exactly. And you know what?
versus,
Like
like, Thanos was like, "I'm saving the world, like, this will save" you know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like I've heard like the whole argument that Galactus is this whole like mind rot that comes into societies, and like that's why the Fantastic Four fought it how they could. That's like the whole point of the Silver Surfer, was like it presented it to the society, like you could have your mind rot, like just consumption lifestyle through Galactus, but like they chose, you know whatever. But like I've heard it and I get it, and I think that's fair. I don't think Fantastic Four is that deep, um, other than the Doom stuff, but we don't need to argue about that. The Oh, I got so distracted by um
It's like there's there's, like, this addiction to, like, spoilers,
oh, that's a great way to
right?
put
Is
it.
that
Yeah,
right?
great way to bring us back. Okay, next time on Dragon Ball Z, bro, I'm
Yes.
gonna watch it. I don't care. You know, don't ruin it for me.
It's
You
like
know,
crack, but, like, not drugs, but that mentality sorta, you know?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
addiction, it's literally addicted, like addiction.
yeah. Here, have a little bit more. Here, have a little bit more. And like, okay, that is the positive part about manga stuff. You can't really get a little bit more because it is paper. So it's gonna come out next week, and you're just gonna wait anyway. But
But those spoilers ruin anticipation, though. I think the build up, like surprise of it all, like what's gonna happen.
Right. And so like if every week you can't really build a story, you kind of have to have spoilers happening every week. And I think that's another good way to think about like mind rot writing is it's constantly like small spoilers of what's happening in the story instead of the story flowing as a whole.
Okay. All right. That makes
So like
sense.
yeah,
It's a good viewpoint.
yeah, that's essentially what I got from what you were saying.
So
Yeah.
do you think like so the artists and like even the writers like with them sit like so they're gonna see obviously like what's getting reposted and like the most like views and engagement. So do you think they adapt the story to that like the algorithm, I guess, or the digital response?
Okay, one more time, one more time.
Do you think like the artists and the writers, do you think they adapt the story to how like the algorithm popularizes like their work?
Yes.
I guess is a
Yes.
better way to put it.
I think definitely. I think there is like some anchors that you identify in stories that um that from other stories work, right? Pet pet best friend, secretly smart, ultra cute. For some reason, that's a
Sells.
story sells so hard. You know, there is an argument that like it doesn't have to be cute because like Chewbacca did the same thing for Han Solo.
Oh yeah,
Like,
facts.
but
Facts.
like the love is what's important there, right? So,
That
like, there's
relationship.
yes, and like if that's the only relationship development that like happens in the comic, that's okay. That's enough for a mind rot manga is like just that anchor, because it's a strong anchor that most people can think through, you
Mhm.
know maybe not a dog, maybe they had pet lizard, maybe a fish, but like, it's all kind of flowing through the same way. um So like I do think that artists and writers throw that anchor out there. I think that's a big one. And then bullying, another big anchor, you know, classic. But like is bullying like this anchor to a story, or is it just such a shared experience among humans that it's a more flow to the story? And that's where you have to like really like discern how the writing is there for you. Like if it is just, you know, this pillar that's there, like that's not going to be enough to keep the story away from like degrading your palate. But if it's used to like more flow the story along, then like that's probably a more appropriate use for a greater shared experience.
Okay. Okay.
Like another one is rape. Hate to put it like this, but there's the amount of comics that do good where that is a cornerstone of the story is really telling as to what is emotionally affected to those demographics. Um, and again, you know, if you just throw it in there, it's degrading the whole experience of what that should be triggering emotionally when you read about it.
Yeah, what
You
the
know,
arc should be. There's no
right?
like patience anymore. You know what I mean? The
Exact,
patience. Most
exactly.
people would say like I guess I'll call it a slower arc is not as exciting. I guess you could say.
Right,
People like it's viewed nowadays. I'm saying like
right. No, no, and you know what? Here, this is a good example. So, because you said patience, right? And that's
right.
there is a comic series called JoJo. It is long. It is dumb. But what as a reader, you have to have patience because you want to like all of the things that we've discussed kind of are experienced in JoJo in the positive way. It's why it's such a long running, strong story. You know, the main villain is this person that is a rapist early on. You know, but like, is that just something that's thrown about? It's like, oh yeah, he's a bad guy. He rapes people, or is it something that drives the main character to want to tear him limb from limb? And it's the latter in this case. You know,
Yeah, and there's a difference there. You could tell.
there's a real difference. You know, it's like the difference between the Joker and, you know, I don't know, like people on Instagram going, I'm throwing this bottle on I'm throwing this milk on the floor.
Yeah,
You know, like the Joker's out here is like, no, chaos is something that should be on a grander level, you know, like,
the grand scale.
yeah, yeah, not milk on the floor, you know?
Yeah, he wants. It's like real anarchy versus yeah, milk on the floor, spilled milk. So that's like to me, that's like our brains being rewired. Like social media kind of destroyed our tolerance for like the slow thoroughness. I
Mhm.
feel like of good storytelling, like pretty much destroyed it.
Yeah. How do you think we can get back to this the s- the pacing that allows for a better wavelength of human thought?
I think less. I think people's brains are tired, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Everybody like consuming everything all day. But it's like all this consumption, but there's no satisfaction. You still feel kind of empty. So like that's why slower stories like still kind of matter. Meaningful things, meaningful art, deep conversations. I think that's how we get back to less consumption, but more thorough consumption at the same time. I think it's about just learning to take our time with things again. Everything's like quick, faster.
Yeah,
Because
when's the
sometimes
last
at that rate, you can't say you're paying attention.
right, right.
You
Like,
know,
when's the
you
last
can't.
time you went to a drive-through restaurant and you sat inside?
I don't. I'm trying to think. I don't even know.
Bro, like, like that, like,
That's a
because I
perfect example because it's that quick. It's that quick dopamine. It's that
yeah,
quick consumption, the quick excitement, like real quick. Like, I'm about to order something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but then immediately on to the next thing. Like, no reflection, just consume it. Consume it. You know.
yeah. And, like, I mean, I'm definitely in the camp of, like, I don't know the last time I finished reading something and didn't read something else right after it, you know? Or listen to something, you know? Like, I'm jumping from, a nice, slow, patient story to, you know, the Epic of Gilgamesh on audiobook because it's on audiobook on Spotify right now, which,
Gilgamesh. Okay.
by the way, like, but like that's two like really slow building pieces of work, but still here I am not allowing my mind to rest and reflect, So like even though I'm taking a slower frequency, I'm not like giving myself a break. It's still going to lead to like a snap, you know?
Right. So, like the height, like there's consumption of stimulant, but it's not like fulfilling what that need is. Like you can, I feel like the really good storytelling like tends to will stick with you for a long time. You know, that's why
Yeah.
certain stories kind of stay in your mind. Like years later, it still stays in your mind, and it's because it's touched on something in the humanity. I feel like side of it versus like consuming so much information so fast is very machine like. Like we don't process things like that. We can't just intake. And I spoke about this like I want to say in one of like the past episodes. I can't even remember which one, but we touched on like the consumption, like social media, even the rapid rate of consumption daily. Like you wake up, you get on Instagram, for example, in the first 15 minutes, you're seeing like some positive news, some negative news, some like super crazy news, all in like the first 15 minutes, and I feel like your brain's not made to process that kind of information that fast, you know.
That's a really good point. It's like you're being woken up in a race car.
Yeah, literally. Yes, yes. All right, yeah.
Yeah, fuck. Okay. Okay, and as you were speaking, you made me think of a question for you. Do you think because okay, you said it's very machine-like to allow yourself and force yourself to process all of that information, right? Because like you don't necessarily need to be, right?
At least at
So
that rate, you know?
right
Like
at
it's
that
like
rate, and what, maybe like there's some information that you're getting bombarded with that like you really don't need to be bombarded with.
100%. I agree with
Y-
that too, actually. 100%, yeah.
Okay, so will could you use AI to keep your humanity in the increasing data state that we're in? So like let's say you somehow use AI to process data coming in and filter it in your own way so that you don't have to necessarily over process and lose your humanity on maybe a group of people suffering from a typhoon in a different space, like in Japan, or an earthquake in India, or a war in Palestine and Israel. Do you think there's a way that we could use AI to allow us to push the machine work onto the machine and keep the human work to humans?
That's a good question. I do. I do, because like even now, like it's just about setting the parameters, you know? And theoretically, like the most basic type of AI, I'm saying like has to follow the parameter set. So you set some like decent, thorough parameters on what is filtered to where, make a little pipeline design, and then you go from there. Like this is allowed to come through without any problem on, say, like the feed, and then the other stuff is like redirected, to another category, or maybe it's something you got to go look for yourself instead of you being just hit with, like you said, all this information you may not need or want at the time or at all. So I do think it's possible. It's kind of about making that choice, but it's tough too because I feel like with like it's all about consumption right now.
Yeah.
There's like inability for people to kind of sit still for a longer period of time. So
Yeah, I mean, look at me. I literally have to dance around. Like, I mean, I can't just stay still. I can't even have a chair. I'm over here like literally like, you know what I
I'm
mean?
the same. I'm sitting still now, really, but I'm a pacer. Like if I'm in a room just waiting, I'm usually pacing around or something like
Yeah. And like, are we just products of, you know, the environment on this one?
to a degree. It
Yeah.
does affect, because sometimes I can't even tell you why are you pacing? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even realize I was doing it until you said something sometimes, like,
Yeah, because it's not like we're over here like having an anxiety attack, you
yeah,
know?
I'm like, I feel fine. It's just naturally I had to start moving, I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
everything has to be stimulation. And then your brain adapts to like constant stimulation. Normal like life kind of just starts to feel a little dull. But therein lies the problem, because then like when it's like peace and quiet that most people want, it feels boring. But maybe it's not. It's like that's what Zen is. Very, slow stories feel boring. Reflection feels boring. Like you said, not taking time to reflect. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I
then you
feel
need
like
bigger hits to feel something.
yeah. I like to think of like humans on frequencies of like oscillation, right? You have people on a wave, right? So
Okay.
some people are really popping, like they have a high frequency rate. They hit highs and lows a lot. And I think Zen is the state of like having such little oscillation, is that your high point and your low point are very 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 close together, you know. I think
Minimal
that's what
fluctuations.
minimal fluctuation, right? And building an environment where you are at minimal fluctuation, I think, is like a very firm place to be for a human's frequency. I don't think there's as I think the greater distance between your highs and lows is what causes so much pain to certain aspects of the human psyche and body.
You
You
think people
know,
are addicted to those emotional spikes?
well, I mean, I think that's a completely different situation, but yes, definitely, 100%, 100%. Because like, look at I like.
Because
Have you
I'm
ever met?
referring to because I'm like emotional. I would call that emotional spikes. Like, yeah, you're all over
Yeah,
the place versus, and that's what people I think are used to,
yeah.
whether like product of your environment or just a combination of like experiences and like bullying and like, these
Oh,
other
definitely.
like uh archetypes we discussed with the storytelling, like even
Right,
applying it to real life.
right. You get like society introduces you to so many highs and lows that is you know that becomes your consumption style, that becomes your dream style, that becomes your you know it becomes the whole umbrella of how you behave. You want these highs, you want these lows. It's like, oh, I'm anticipating a car crash right now because somebody just told me that they love me. I should be getting hit by a car in a second.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's
I
crazy,
feel
but
yeah.
like there is something like that's you know, and maybe it's just the livestock brainwashing that is being put on us. That constant anxiety of that a pig probably feels going through. It's like, oh, best food I ever had. Best food I ever had again. Oh, 20 days of the best food I've ever had. And then like literally they're killed. You know,
They didn't pick up on the like,
well, they're
hold on.
pigs. they're,
Just
they're
like,
pigs,
yeah, damn.
right? So like, but like that's
Damn.
something that like is really hitting humans to the point that they're going to their neighbors and killing their neighbors, i.e. Israel Palestine.
Yeah,
you know Name all of these small different semi countries that are still fighting in Africa. Like there's even the US and Mexico, the way they're battling with trade.
yeah.
There's no
All the
reason.
time.
There's all the time, but there's no reason. There's like this deranged need to drive an energy down so they can drive it back up, so they can drive it back down, and it's I don't know. Well, it's the same thing as mind rot, modern manga.
Yeah.
You
No, it
can,
is.
yeah, because like it's like hooking you've hooked your audience, right? They're all hooks that a piece of audience can get stuck on. And you're just ripping it through the water, and just the more that gets stuck on it, the better.
It's like farming that dopamine.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? We'll have to talk about this another time. But psychic vibe farming, right? I believe that there's something to it, right? Like you go to a concert and everybody's jumping together, everybody's singing the same words together. There's a vibe that you as a community get on, right? So that must be also capable on a much larger scale, right? Like
Okay.
an entire country, for example. You slowly put them into a state of anxious terror, and you slowly leech off of that anxious terror all of the energy you could ever need.
So you
Oh,
feed off that.
yeah. Oh, you're scared about your there being a shooter at your kid's school. Good. Good. I that's the whole point. You should be. And they just
Okay.
collectively soak it in. And some people would say that's what evil is. You know, evil is creating pain and gain from that pain.
Yeah. Perfect example. So what was I? Oh, Pennywise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
so
Yeah,
feeds off
exactly.
the fear mostly of the children, but I feel like of the town too. Like everyone knows there's something weird going on. Like everyone has like slight paranoia.
Yeah.
Like kids disappearing never resolved, so there's a slight multiple kids too. It's not like one kid and it just never, and he feeds off that. He feeds off the fear. He feeds off the doubt, the the mysteriousness of like that not knowing. So
Yeah.
kind of like an analogy there of like pure evil feeds off those things.
Yeah. Which is very interesting because like a fairy, you know, they say fairies have more energy the more you believe in them. Whereas like one dies every time you say, I don't believe in fairies or whatever. And that was a whole sentence, so it doesn't count or something.
Bro, I'm like, did you just murder?
But like but like there is like but that's why fairies are viewed as like positive, right? Versus something that, yeah, I don't know. Very interesting. I think we could do a fun time on that. Similar to there's a book called American Gods, and it's all about like what happens to gods when people stop believing in them,
Oh wow, interesting.
you know. Enough humans believe in one thing and it crystallizes and becomes an entity because that's, part of humans imagination is a power. uh I'm really like this is more than the book at this point, but this is kind of the greater idea. And but like enough humans believe in something, it crystallizes and becomes a reality. So what happens when something was the entirety of a community, like Odin, and
Right. Okay.
now what, how many people like spend their time thinking about him, and you know so now he's just an old man, or is he? because now like he's in these, movies and stuff. Now more people think about him. So he's slowly, it's like these fluctuations of belief, um, changing the rate of crystallization of a thought.
Okay, that makes sense. It's almost like, yeah, if he gets it, like being exposed again and the movie's having the exposure, it starts recrystallizing again.
Yes. Like if we could get enough people to believe that you could like fly, right? You would,
Come on,
you would,
everybody, let's do this.
bro, you'd slowly be able to fly.
All right,
And like,
I need everybody on this one. Because gas is killing me. So if everyone could just
how much is gas right now? We'll date this podcast hard, but
this is the lowest I've seen around my area is 589. Yeah. It's like you can't get by with just putting that 20 in. I'm like, I'll put that 20 in. I'm good for a few trips. I'm straight.
oh
Now you put that 20 in, it's like one way sometimes. You're like, fuck, this is crazy right now. And then I don't know
yeah,
if you this is a whole, I'm totally off topic with this, but I might as well throw it out there because it's happening. Now they got that new E15 or E20 gas where it's like more
yo,
ethanol
yeah,
to literally destroy like the older cars and blow out your seals and fucking it
bro,
eats up all the rubber little gaskets and then you heard about the AI they putting in the cars, the new cars
yeah,
to determine
bullshit,
if you're
bro,
impaired or not. Like,
bro. So my brother and his friends just got back from Switzerland,
uh-huh.
and they've already gotten a bunch of cars over there. And homeboy's Asian. He's lived in Switzerland previously. He's the man, you know. Met him, coolest dude, completely with it. Not a drinker, not a drug guy.
Right.
He's on it, right? Bro, the car was stopping them constantly, saying, "Your vision is impaired. Your vision is impaired." Bro, he's just of Asian descent. Like it's the dumbest shit already.
So it's
Like
racist
bro, it's racist
immediately.
and dumb.
No, no, yeah, that's very. And then okay, so one of my big concerns, obviously amongst a million concerns, but I'm like, does your car just stop? Like if I'm on the freeway and it just decides like, oh, you just did something weird, you're drunk.
Bro, I would
Does it
lose
just
my
stop my
mind.
car? Because I'm like, that's gonna be accident. Like it just sounds like, how's that gonna be happening?
Yo, there's gonna
Is
be
it gonna pull
people
you over? Like, how
screaming.
does that?
Bro, if it pulls, it's gonna put you on the shoulder, right? And there's just gonna be people screaming and shaking their steering wheels. I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk.
You
You
trying to
know?
get somewhere on time and fucking this thing's pulling your ass over every 5 miles and shit.
Like, have you been in a Waymo yet?
No, I don't.
Bro,
I don't know how I feel about Waymo. I mean, I
yeah.
get the idea. The idea is whatever. Like, okay, but I just need to see a lot more.
I'm already disappointed. They just showed up in Portland, like just showed up. They're they've already been in my way twice. Like,
And they
well,
don't know
cause
what
like,
to do. The car's just tripping
well,
out. Like,
yeah, they don't know what to do, and these homeless people are like, like coming off the night. It's early in the morning. I'm trying to get to work, and like the Waymo is just like, well, yeah, you have to go around the dude that is like zombied out in the like next to the cross. He's not in the crossway. He's not technically in the way, but he's like potentially dangerous to drive next to. So you have to go around him. Well, the Waymo can't figure that out. The Waymo's trying to be polite and let this person go, but it's like, now
He's
it's
not
just
going.
walking. No, he's not never gonna
He
go.
got fentanyl leak going on.
Literally, we're code like,
So the
and
sensors just know there's something there, but it can't.
right,
It's like, all right, are
and
you
like
gonna go or what the fuck?
technically he's leaning forward like he might walk because like he's strung out. So he's doing the lean and like he should be going.
He said
Like
he's doing the lead. Okay, MJ shit. No, but for real, like I could see that. And that's just like what. That's why I said too. That's a perfect reason. Like I need to see more. Like there's complications still. It's
yeah.
understandable, but that is a complication. Like, hey, you holding up traffic, or you could cause an accident, or you could ignore it
No,
and hit the person. Who knows? Like,
shout out my sister-in-law. She handicapped, already got hit by a car, broken leg. She gets in a Waymo, right? The Waymo drops her off in the middle of the street, like keeps trying to drop her off in the middle of like multiple lane streets. It's like she's
what?
handicapped. And like it just failing for hours. Just like, oh no, I need an acceptable drop off point. Goes to a different place, even further away from where this handicapped person is supposed to be getting. Like it's bad,
It's crazy,
it's
yo.
dangerous, it's not pro-human. Like that's what I think should be the viewpoint. We need to be pro-human. Okay? First, pro-human first. We can also be pro everything else, pro endangered animals. We can totally do this. But we need to be pro-human first. We need to stop poisoning each other. we need to stop we need to stop setting each other up for failure with AI.
I
It's
think I think it does start with us. We have to stop to protect anything else. Like I'm all for, protecting like the environment, animals, but it starts with us. If we don't do it for ourselves, we damn sure ain't gonna do it for anything else, like a outside species or plant, if you will, which is
yeah,
another species. So I'm like, if we can't do it for ourselves, it's not gonna happen for anyone else. That's literally the most logical way to look at it. Like if you won't value yourself, you can't value something else. So it's like, yeah, as a people, we gotta.
yeah,
That's where it starts.
definitely, definitely. I think that's a good place.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been the Red and Dread Podcast. Make sure you're eating more Red and Dread consistently. And we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Have a
listening.
good yeah, have a good one.